Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Benson, and you're listening to the Unstoppable Pursuit podcast, where we are pushing the limits on business, life, and health. And I am here with my beautiful, handsome, muscular co-host. Where is he? There he is, Mr. Michael Stull, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, everybody? We're
talking about motivation, baby. Motivation. That's why we're here on Saturday mornings, just crushing it, baby. So Mike's going to read. Sometimes I get down on all fours and just howl. My wife thinks I'm weird. So anyway, Mike's going to start out with his daily devotional from his book, Dominate Your Day. You can check it out at michaelstull.com. Go buy it. It's amazing. I have it by my bedside, and I read it, and it actually plays into some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today. So read on, Michael.
And I quote, "When it comes to motivation, I always encourage others to be cautious of what they perceive as positive motivation. Motivation is all around us, externally, some good and some bad. I encourage clients, friends, and family to stick to positive motivation from others who inspire you to be a better person, and intrinsic motivation most importantly." I often hear people say, well, let the haters be the motivators. I am not a fan of this statement, as it is attached to a negative aspect. You should never base your motivation on external subjects, especially trivial third-party individuals and groups who may be committed to misunderstanding you. Or, on the opposite end of the spectrum, all the ego boosters. What happens when the haters and the accolades are all gone? You are left with a pretty weak sense of motivation and an inflated, soft ego ready to crumble. In reality, trying to prove the so-called haters wrong allows them to mentally own you and your actions. It would be better to look yourself in the mirror every day and compare yourself to the person you were the day before. Just you and yourself. That is truly objective. That is truly powerful. That, my friends, is positive motivation. You own your attitude, and you own your own motivation.
Damn, dude, that's super powerful, man. I love it. I love it. I love it, because you know what? Motivation does come from within. It is 100% within. You can't let these outside resources or people or things, negative thoughts come in there and screw that up. So let's talk about how important motivation is and how we can kind of get there, Mike, and what's so good about it and why we need it, really.
Yeah. I mean, I always use the analogy that motivation is like wood to a fire, or it's gasoline to an engine. Like, you could have this strong skill set, but without motivation and the desire to better yourself, then you really don't have anything. You're essentially driving your car on fumes, which is not good for the engine. So it's extremely important to have that driving force of motivation, and we're going to talk about where it actually comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you did talk about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and I kind of want you to go into both of those, Mike. That would be like super helpful, and then I'll kind of talk about some of the why and the things around it.
Well, what I typically say is, like, when it comes to intrinsic motivation, that's like, me waking up in the morning and finding out, what makes me happy and what my purpose is in life. Extrinsic motivation, there is still some good extrinsic motivation. Like, for example, like I would say, like, if we watched, videos of Gary Vaynerchuk,
right.
to motivate us. But the other example is, let's say I was on the basketball court and, I was playing and I was motivated by the haters on the sideline. Mm-hmm. Like I'm focused on being motivated off of them. Well, what happens when those haters leave? Now who am I playing for? What am I playing for? Like, I have no motivation. So I always tell people, be careful. Use your external circumstance. If you're stressed out or you're unhappy, then channel that and use that to better yourself. But make sure that it's coming from within. Like, really, you need to find your purpose, because, without your purpose, you really don't have anything to go off of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody has to wake up with something to get up and go do. That's the motivation, to wake up in the morning and go to work or go do whatever that is that you're so passionate about. And I think going back to the intrinsic and extrinsic thing, I think that extrinsic thing, like getting motivated by the haters, is such a short-term motivation. I think if you're in the middle of a game or in the middle of a situation, fine, like, use it, but just understand that going forward, like that I can't even talk right now.
It's a hard word to say.
Intrinsic motivation is going to be for the long term, because at like you said, at the end of the day, it's just you and yourself. So you have to consistently motivate yourself and push yourself but you can use outside resources, sort of like you said, wood on like gasoline on like to the engine.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
use that as, you know, wood in the fire for the time being. It's just an enhancer at the time, but you need to have that internal motivation more than anything. So, and I think going back to what you were talking about, the why, the purpose, like, you know, what is that? Is that success? Is that your family? Is that your friends? Like, where does that come from? What gets you out of bed every day? What gets you jacked up every morning to go out and perform your best every single day?
That's hard to top what you just said. I mean, that was perfectly said. Like, I would say that motivation is something that you need to go back to daily. And then when we use the wood to the fire, that fire is only going to burn so long, and you got to put more wood into it. So again, you have to continuously put more into developing your own motivation intrinsically, so that what you said, long term, you know, the motivation isn't just lasting for a week. You know, that people fall off their health and fitness plans after a week or two because their motivation's gone. They were very motivated at the beginning, you know. So it's continuously going back to that on a daily basis and throwing wood in that fire to keep that motivation going long term.
Yeah, you know, and something I just wanted to bring up, like, I am a fan of listening to Gary Vee. I'm a fan of listening to Brendan Burchard. I'm a fan of going to these motivational conferences, these Tony Robbins of the world. I get that. That is really cool, and it's fun for the moment. But the last thing you want to do is, and I hear this from more people, is like, once you leave that conference, once you finish that 2-minute video, once you finish that motivation, the next thing you know, you're sitting on your couch with your hand down your pants, drinking a beer. Like, that's not what we want, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, but I mean, that it's just like you said, that fire has to continue. You have to continuously work on it. Goes back to working on yourself all the time, pushing yourself. Every single day, you're a work of art. You're just chipping away, you know, or like you're painting your own canvas. This is your life. You have to stay motivated for yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you.
That's right. That's right. And if you're stressed out or you're unhappy with where you're at in life, like what you said, I mean, that's motivation right there to start putting things into action. Like, that's intrinsic right there, is your circumstances. You are extremely unhappy with where you're at. Well, that right there, throw a big log in the fire and get to work.
Yeah, I know. And that's it. Yeah, stress, some people, see, there's such a tipping point. Like, too much stress, you're going to perform so much worse. But if you have that little bit of stress, there's science behind this, but a little bit of that stress, change that thought process into like, oh, I'm so stressed out, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, to like, oh my God, this motivates me to push forward. Don't let it cripple you. Let it motivate you and push you to where you need to go.
Yeah, it'll give you a sense of urgency. I mean, you know, I see people all the time where they're comfortable with where they're at, but they're still like unhappy. Well, you have no sense of urgency. You need to be unhappy to the point where it does make you want to take that first step, which, you know, we'll get into. And how do you turn motivation actually into action?
Yeah, let's do that, Mike. Like, let's talk about these first couple steps we have here. What are some things that you think that we can do to turn it into action? Because, again, it goes back to, oh, I feel super motivated, but where the hell do I go with this?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be the first to say that I am as guilty as can be that early on, especially even for like basketball, like, I wasn't setting goals. Yeah. Even in the gym, I wasn't setting goals at all. I knew what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, but I didn't really have like an action plan. You know, I didn't have a list of like mini goals, you know, daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, and I wasn't checking anything off the list. So I think goal setting is extremely important from the get-go.
Yeah, I think and it comes down to what you just said. It goes, you know, you have your yearly goal, then you move that down to your monthly goal, your weekly goal, and your daily goal. Because every single time you check something off your list, like, it's actually going to sustain some of that motivation, because you're going to say,
momentum booster.
Exactly. You got to build that momentum from the get-go. That's what I think is so important with motivation and turning it into action. Is once you start, you know, it's like rolling the rock down the hill. You know, like, to get it up there, you got to keep pushing. But once it starts going, then you just got to go with it. You know,
it's like a train. Like,
yeah,
the train starts off very slow, and then it builds up pace, and a body in motion stays in motion. I also feel like with your goals and in the business life, if you keep taking action, you keep taking that next step, even if you don't know what it is, but just taking a leap of faith, you know what I mean? You keep that momentum going. Like, I'm totally a momentum person. Like, if I sit and do nothing, like, dude, I sit and do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm lazy as shit. If I'm moving, then I keep going, and it's easier to keep going. So again, like, motivation is like a freight train, man. Like, you know, keep that shit going.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like that first step, like pushing that needle forward every single day. Like that's just like what my thought process is. I don't know if that helps anybody else at all, but like I always think like what's like one thing I could do every day to like push the needle forward in my life, like whatever it is. Maybe it's a business thing, maybe it's a health thing, maybe it's, you know, just simple life thing, you know, maybe it's a relationship thing. What can I do every single day to like just push the needle forward? And I feel like pretty accomplished at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I think that there's been numerous times where I didn't know what the first step was. I mean, honestly, I didn't know what to do, but I knew like what the end result was that I wanted. So I'll use my book for an example. Is I didn't know how I wanted it to be really structured and what would go first, what would go last, but I just said, you know what, a logical first step for me is I'm just going to write.
Yeah.
I'm going to write. You know, I'm going to take that first step. Even though I don't really know what I'm doing or, you know, the intricate details of it, I'm just going to take that first step, break the ice, and get that momentum train going a little bit.
Yeah, I think because either way you're producing an outcome, whether it's not an outcome, whether it's,
Exactly.
you know, like, even if you take action without knowing where it's going, at least you're pushing something forward where it will turn into something. Look, it turned into a book, man. I mean, you wrote a book, you're an author, like, but you didn't know where it was going. You're just like, I just need to start this, and it turns into an awesome book. So I think that's really cool.
I like the quote, and I don't remember where I heard this from, but you know, I may not be sprinting, but I'm still lapping everybody on the couch.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
exactly
and it's just
right,
basically,
dude.
it's like, listen, even if you don't, you know, I also heard a quote saying like, you know, start saying yes to things, even if you don't really know what to do, and then figure it out. Like, don't say no to an opportunity just because you're uncomfortable and it's out of your comfort zone. You know, majority of your growth happens when you're out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to live in the growth zone, and it's that
growth zone, baby.
Yeah, baby. It's about that ready, fire, aim attitude. It's like, you know, okay. So yeah, it's that just screw it, just do it. Richard Branson says that all the time, and it's just like, just take action and stay in, because once you start, let's go into this, Mike, actually, because this will go into where we're going. How do you maintain motivation? Because I think that's kind of where this conversation is heading now.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is repetition. Again, like just doing it on a daily basis, throwing that wood in the fire. Like if you have a routine in the morning, and let's say your routine is maybe watching a 2-minute motivational video, or you know, reading a daily devotional book, or whatever the case may be, like find out what it is for you that works and try to get into a routine. I do think that being in a routine helps. You know, just maintain that daily motivation.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about too is having that repetition of like positive self-talk and reading things and listening to positive things as much as you can. But the first thing you should do every single morning, and you know, I've listened to a lot of professionals and coaches, and you're coming right out of your dream state. So immediately, the first thoughts you have in the morning are going to be how your day is going to run. So you need to do something positive immediately, like turn on some, you know, powerful music that gets you pumped up, turn on some, you know, whatever, Gary Vee, read part of Mike's book, you know, do something. And then at night, do the same thing. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I am awesome, I'm this, I'm successful, I'm wealthy, I'm good looking, whatever that is. Do that so you go to sleep with that positive, motivating thought. Like, and if you even just say to yourself so many times over, like, I like myself, or I'm motivated, your brain will start releasing these things, these neurons that will start to say, you know, that's how you're going to act. How you think and feel is the way you're going to act.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we're telling people to go out into public and, you know, say, oh, everybody, I'm so great. Yeah, like, you know, we're not asking you to be conceited, but, like, it's okay, like, when you're at home to, like, literally look in the mirror.
Pump yourself up.
Yeah, talk yourself up. Like, tell you how great you are, you know? And for me, like, surrounding myself with people, like-minded people, like you, like Brian, that motivates me, you know, that I feed off of the energy from the people in my life that I surround myself with to better myself on all levels.
Mike, you bring up, that is such a great point, and I do want to dive into that for a second. It's like, you are the average of everybody's heard this, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if you're hanging out with people who are like not motivated, kind of just sitting around, lazy, chances are you're going to start falling into that realm of laziness and things. Like, you need to be around go-getters, the people that are going to push you, people who are better than you at a lot of things. You have to. I mean, Mike, you know this from playing sports. Like, whenever I was, playing soccer, the coach always put me on the second team, so I was playing against the first team starters, because if I was playing, I need to be playing against the best. You don't get better playing against people who are worse than you or same as you. You get better by playing against people who are better than you.
Yeah. I mean, I never got better, just playing with the first team and all the best players. And to be honest with you, I didn't start making huge strides in my journey in all aspects of my life until I started being around people that didn't always agree with me all the time. Like, I don't need a bunch of yes people boosting my ego and agreeing with everything I say. Like, the people in my life, I need you to challenge me, because by you challenging me, I'm going to get better and you're going to get better. Yeah,
exactly, dude. I totally agree. And the last kind of point on this I want to go to is just blocking out those negative thoughts and some things you can do. So, there's a lot of worries and things that can come out, especially like, you feel motivated, but you just don't want to like take that step because you may be blocked by something. But blocking out those negative thoughts, something that I do every day, and this has helped, and this is just from some of my NLP training, and this could be however you want to do it. This is just how I do it, so whatever. It's a little bit weird, but I honestly, when a negative thought comes in my head, I roar like a lion. Like, when I think I just go,
this is true.
And I just stop it immediately. I knock myself out of that, because it's just like, why are you blocking yourself? Like, you are blocking yourself from the things that you want in your life, and it's such a disease, these self-limiting beliefs. But yeah, I try to do that. Like, I try not to do it in public as much. Mike sees me do it. My wife sees me do it.
I do it now, dude. Like, honestly, I took Brian's advice on this, and like, I'll be driving in my truck, and I get negative thoughts and different things that pop into my head, and like, I will literally do something like really outlandish, which completely takes me out of that train of thought. You know what I mean? So, dude, if you're next to me at the stoplight and you look over, I may be barking at you in the window. I mean, but don't take it personal. It's just me trying to block out the negativity. You know what I mean? So I may be barking over at you. Don't call the cops or anything.
Exactly, bro. No, it does. Because nothing is worse than just like listening to that music or getting so pumped up and then going, and then all of a sudden that negative thought creeps in your head, like, oh, what if it doesn't work out? It's like, no. Oh yeah, I'm back to normal. Let's go.
There you go.
So that's kind of what we're talking about doing. And so let's go into, this is, we don't, it's not, we're not trying to like beat a dead horse here, because I mean, people know now, I think more than ever, that motivation is within you. It is 100% your choice. You have to do it every single day, because nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody is, you're going to have a support group, like you find good friends or family who are going to support you and care about you, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to, they can't push you to go do the things that you need to do in your life to feel super motivated. You have to get to a mental state, a healthy state, a place where you're going forward every single day and feeling excited about waking up every single morning with that purpose behind you. So let's talk about like a challenge that we can kind of do that I want you guys to just try, and I think it's really helpful. It's kind of like a self-checkup from the neck up. I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's like a self-status check-in,
Yeah, so go in the mirror and just take a look at yourself and just really, really ask yourself, are you happy with where you are right now in your life? And I want you to ask that about your health. I want you to ask that about your business life. I want you to ask that about relationships, and let those things say, wow, I am not as happy as I want to be in this part of my life. What can I do to get there? Then do all the things that Mike and I talked about. Create that repetition, create those goals, take that first step and all those things. But just take a checkup on yourself every single day. Find where you're not feeling it as much and go forward. So that's kind of the challenge that I think would be good. And now Mike's going to end with a health tip.
Yep. I think, just ending on what Brian said, I think it's good along your journey to stop at your little checkpoints and self-evaluate. You know, and make any adjustments. That's the key to really, you know, getting better, is just being able to make adjustments along the way. So lastly, ending on the health tip, as we always do, many people think that, you know, going completely fat-free is the way to go. I mean, that's what I honestly hear from the majority of my clients. They think that anything that has fat in it is bad for you. Well, the studies actually show that going on an extremely low-fat diet is not very healthy. You know, our body on a cellular level needs fat. Like 50% of every cell membrane wall in our body, and we have trillions of these in our body, 50% of that is fat. You know, our brain is made of fat. Our brain is like a third fat. So, you know, it would make sense that if you like were not eating any type of healthy fat, and we need that on a cellular level, that could cause some issues. Like guys that eat very, very, very low amounts of fat also have low testosterone. You know, it goes hand in hand. So I'm not saying to go out and eat a ton of fat. I'm saying you need to eat the right kinds of fat.
Yeah, right.
You know, like primarily omega-3 fat. Like taking omega-3 fish oil, the fat from the fish, is like taking nature's ibuprofen. It's anti-inflammatory. It lowers the inflammation in your body, and you can take that in pill form. You could eat it through fish, nut butters, natural peanut butter, cashew butter, almond butter, cooking your foods with coconut oil, olive oil, and then actually eating real butter. Like people have always said, oh, you know, skip the butter, eat the bread.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite. Skip the bread, don't eat the gluten in the wheat, which is pro-inflammatory, and eat the butter, because the butter has healthy fat in it. And believe it or not, saturated fat is not nearly as bad as what we once thought. Like now we realize through the studies that saturated fat actually can serve as a good source of energy. Really? So a lot of like protein companies are actually putting MCTs, medium chain triglycerides. There'll be an exam on this later for those that are listening. An MCT is basically like saturated fat, basically. Yeah. And they put that in because they know that our body burns it pretty easily. Okay, so again, everything in moderation. I'm not saying going out and eating tons of saturated fat or just throwing sticks of butter down your throat, you know, like shooting them out of the holster. But you eat more healthy omega-3 fats, and your body will thank you for it.
All right, all right. Well, hey, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking your time. We are very, very grateful. We are very, very zen and happy. And we'll see you all on the next episode.
See ya.